This is the safe cove, where we see non-sapphire decks. So I'm pretty sure Katie is pretty happy about this.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like Sapphire, okay? It's just we've seen some Sapphire, okay? We've seen Sapphire. We know what Sapphire can do. No one's gonna debate what Sapphire can and cannot do at this point. So, but we will get to see. I mean, I have very strong predictions about what's going to be in Cody's list. We'll see if it's more aggro centered, like when we discussed, where you're putting in the free lore coupons of gathering wisdom and lore. This is my family, just like absolutely aggro city, or the traditional where you got cobras, goats, docks. I'm pretty sure someone said it's a dock list, so I think it's going to be the list we expect. But Ezekiel, I don't know what to expect. What about you?
Oh, it could be a lot of version of Ruby Amethyst. It could be a more underground version. It could be like a chew with no be prepared. It could be anything at this point. It could be a version more like yeah. At the end of chapter 6. Um, I don't know if we had a lot of new cards for Ruby Amethyst in the new set. This is not an archetype I checked a lot in terms of improvement.
I mean, some people didn't. I mean, I watched one round where people just said, I'm going to run the same cards. So they are fist bumping and finishing the altering. I'm running a quick ad because ultimately I don't want you guys to miss like when it gets good because it's going to get good. But we'll recap. He inked ooh. So Cody inked oh gosh, Benja and then pass. So kind of not good there for an aggro deck. And then we see ink a Chernobogs on the opponent's side. Didn't catch what he inked, but it looks like he's using tokens, which is always a little tricky.
So we're playing a Calhoun on turn 2 on Cody's side, and probably to make any character on the Ezekiel side a little bit afraid of staying on in play after questing or anything. As demonstrated by the returning in the hand of the Chernobog's follower by the Mana Mim Snake.
All right, ads over. So to catch everybody up, it's looking like looks like Cody C is running the classic, the doc, gain lore, get value. And then Cody, he's using ink tokens. Not loving that because I had a hard time seeing what he inked his first two turns. Or not Cody, sorry, Ezekiel. Okay, there we go. So he inks and then he just whisks it away and puts out. It's a very cute ink token. So I have nothing against it, but it is hard. You have to check really quickly what he's inking. And we do see a little Sisu here. And by little Sisu, I mean it's the empowered sibling, I believe, is her name, which we don't necessarily see as much these days because she doesn't have her Flynn friend as often because Flynn is kind of out for a couple reasons. Ultimately, the biggest one is that it used to be Flynn just had to be afraid of Cinderella, and now Flynn has to be afraid of Cinderella and Belle, which kind of makes it where it's not really 100% worth it to be running a Flynn. But Sisu Emboldened Warrior is still pretty good because she is going to be a pretty big body. She's going to have the same body as your opponent's hand size and then also quest for 2. So just a pretty solid three cost red there is some lag. I'm so sorry about that. I am reaching out to see why it is so slow, but I hope I can get it resolved. But otherwise, we'll do our best to keep you guys updated.
So we have a good board in place for Cody. Ruby Amethyst tends to be playing one character a turn, especially doing on curve to get as much advantage along the way. And probably we are aiming at the turn 4. Oh, we are seeing friends on the other side to get more card draw. Probably establishing a better turn 7 and onwards if ever we survive at this point.
Yeah, as we know, the Amethyst Steel deck is just an absolute juggernaut when it starts getting that lore on the board. And it also likes to draw a lot of cards. He only has 2 right now, but with that broom, that could go up any moment. And Ezekiel, we don't know. The big question of the day is he running Be Prepared or not? We saw a Sisu, which could mean that there's a larger Sisu, but knowing that this deck doesn't have access to Sapphire Coil makes you believe that it'd be pretty crazy not to have Be Prepared because um, it's a very, very valuable card to have against a deck like this. I mean, it's the break in case of emergency. Just get all those cards off the board at once. So we will see if Ezekiel's able to get there before Cody just takes off to the moon with all of his lore gaining characters.
Also, at the same time, um, having a big Sisu in Amethyst Ruby um, could be great if ever there is a shift in the meta with characters we can't deal with directly, that have ward or any other means of protection. And oh, interesting. So we inked a Maui to play a crab, Diablo challenging into Smith to draw a card, dealing effectively with the board as we go along, and playing a fairy ship.
My goodness, a fairy ship. Didn't someone said they were gonna like eat their hat or
Yeah,
something if they saw? I can't remember what the bet was, but I feel
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
what was the fairy ship threat?
If we see a fairy ship on turn 1, I believe, or ever like played, and we see one, so Wonder, yeah, Luke, better known as Wonderland, did mention that yesterday. The story of the fairy ship. Someone bet is something.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It-
message Luke and be like, hey, does someone have to eat their hat or like eat a fairy ship? What's the deal with the fairy ship? But either way, fairy ship is another one of those kind of tempo things. Is there any benefit of a fox being in the fairy ship? Absolutely not. But right now, the fox isn't on the fairy ship. It is fun to think about. But we do see the docks. This is a dock build of this deck. And usually docks seem like they clump together. So in that case, we see a dock followed by a dock. Okay, so the goat's gonna go to the fairy ship. So fairy ship was not long for this world. We have seen the advent of one cost for willpower locations, Neverland and fairy ship, just kind of being annoying against decks like Sapphire Steel because no song can be sung by Bell to deal with those. So it's kind of a funny thing to play. You don't get to draw cards off of it, but it can kind of last a little bit longer and be a tempo. All right. So we are not seeing the craziest of crazy of momentum on Cody's side, but that does not mean it won't take off from here. Someone did point out, are those ink token for ants? And that is funny, and I like it. But no, that is just, sometimes people like using ink tokens. It's fun, it's cute. It's hard because he inks really fast and it's really laggy, so I don't know what he's inking. But I assume his opponent does, and I've also reached out to 20 Lore Pro and Ashton and said, help, it's laggy. Because, yeah, I like to see what's being inked, but it's a moment and then it turns into that cute little token.
yeah. So we are at 6 ink on Ezekiel's side with Rabbit played 2 remaining inks. And we are thinking about the follow-up or not, and we're passing. And I reviewed the options that we have for um, Amethyst and Ruby. And I gotta say the options are quite slim for the classic Ruby Amethyst deck. Yes, there are cards that do similar things, that are offering some advantages. However, I don't think Ruby Amethyst was the main focus with those cards. At the very least, as for the Ruby Amethyst as we know it, with the classic Be Prepared that is played right now, allowing a fresh start.
Yeah, and that is something we've
Yeah.
seen other players desperately want, and it is probably something that has helped Ezekiel a lot this weekend, is because, yes, you have to wipe your own board, but we have seen Ezekiel been drawing cards, and so he prepared for this moment, or I hope he did anyway. I don't know how many cards he has in his hand currently, because he just walked away. He was prepared to leave. Yeah, he was prepared for this moment so much that he dropped the mic and said, I'm going to head out. But he did. Oh, he's back. So he has a lot of cards in hand. Not a lot, but I mean, it looks like 5 cards in hand. And now just one more.
So we have a Chernabug's follower and a giant cobra on Cody's side. What is Ezekiel going to do?
I mean, Ezekiel can do. I mean, he's got the Maui, the Brawl, so he gets the flavor or the benefit of knowing that he can do some spot removal. Because if we are in top deck time, top deck against Ruby is a painful, painful game. Cobra is a 4/4, so can't brawl that, but we do see him brawl that Chernabog, so he can't get a card out of there. And then the next part is, putting out another fairy ship in a library. And does he have enough ink to move? He does not. The library can be very, very fun in this deck, especially when you're going to be doing Be Prepares, things like that, because anytime a character is banished while it's at the library, you get to draw a card, which can help make things even better. But instead, he's going to go ahead and decide, okay, I can quest, I can go into 4. In this case, he went and quested instead of going into 4 into one of those locations.
So Cody is in the driver's seat at the moment with 14 lore. Putting a Pete into play means no Be Prepared shenanigans next turn. No Brawl.
But doesn't stop Medusas or Madame Tremaine. Well, it doesn't stop Lady Tremaine, but I don't know. Does anyone run Lady Tremaine these days? Who knows?
Some people do, yeah.
What do the kids do these days? What are they into? They
are into Ruby Sapphire and the Sapphire
Steel. Yeah, I guess we've learned that quite harsh. Okay, so we do see the benefit. So the library, you can do some shenanigans on your own, meaning that he knew that he was going to banish that broom. As one of the benefits of the broom is you can banish it to draw a card when you play another character. So he moved that broom to the library, banished it, and was able to draw a card off of it, and then have that Maui challenge into the Cobra and survive. So no actions, but still able to draw a card and remove a character in one turn.
There's one aspect of the game I really like is seeing all those Be Prepared jokes. It warms my heart every time.
It does, and it's honestly we can all bond over it, right? Because I mean, it's something that we've all had. Another person said, "Hey, can we do something about the lag?" I really wish. I really do. I've been reaching. I've been reaching. So hey, if you're at the tournament, you could just run over there and say, "Hey," but that'd be weird if you're watching the senior tournament. So don't scratch that. That doesn't make sense. That's not a person. But I have been reaching out trying to see if there's anything we can do about the lag, and unfortunately, no. Is the short answer. I am trying to reach out. Ooh, look at that spice there. We got the queen.
Okay.
You probably know more about this, so I'll pull it up while you talk about it. Well, do we have the queen? Is it this one? Is it the queen?
Yeah.
Okay, here she comes.
Okay, this queen is a 2-cost 1/4 questing for 1. So far, so good. Nothing really exciting, but while this character has damage, she gets +3 strength, meaning that you can quest with her. You can challenge with her a character that has. And if she survives, she becomes a threat to deal with on the crackback. Meaning, if you want to challenge her back, you are probably getting a character out on your side to deal with this Queen of Hearts. So probably what is happening is this Queen of Hearts will stay there unless there's a fox able to deal with it automatically, as we see there.
Yeah, it's. Let me see. Both players are going to be using this. I'm going to drop it in the chat because it's my favorite. Goat, 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 goat. Cody is more desperate for goat right now because Cody is at 15, which means he just needs some shenanigans. But unfortunately, Ezekiel does have more cards, more options than Cody, who is in top deck mode.
Yeah, so the fox was played. And we are dealing with the queen directly. So a character that can challenge for 4 automatically is like the weakness of the queen. Um, so that can happen.
Yeah, and it does appear Cody is in top deck mode, which, as we know, this deck has magical powers. Sometimes goats and roses just start appearing, but other times it's just brooms and Chernobyls, which are a little less exciting. Especially because even Cody has a little baby broom on the board, and that broom is not taking down a fairy ship or a library on his own. And then we see another goat come in, so in another library. And as we've seen many, many times, if you have a real estate army, it's almost impossible to deal with, especially with most people's builds. At this stage, especially top decking, unless you top deck some magical tech card you put in, like I find them in Platinum, which we have not seen this weekend.
Is it panic time?
I think it's panic time. I think panic's in the chat. I'm giggling at my own. I'm giggling at my own meme, which is like I don't think allowed, but if I can't, who can?
Yeah.
It's it's free real estate. Exactly. Fairy ship is MVP. All aboard the fairy ship. We don't need friendship. We need fairy ships. And fairy ship is, just a weenie location, as I would call it, because it's not really doing much. It doesn't do any fun things. There are cards in the meta or in the world of Lorcana that you get some kind of benefit of. Okay, we did
I wonder what happened exactly here. We had 3 locations at one. A Sisu questing for 2 and a goat 1. That would mean 19. Oh, okay. At this point is
just that bounce, and that's why I'm so happy to see Amethyst,
well,
because bounce is beautiful.
I gotta say, if you go up to 19 with a goat on board, it doesn't mean that the other person lost automatically. It just means that the other person has one last turn and that's it. So they need to close the game at this moment if someone is passing with the goat at 19. So probably the math was done and Cody was like, hey, with what I have, I don't have the necessary cards to do that jump to 20.
Yeah, and both these players are bounce practitioners, so they basically know their decks. They know, I mean, at a certain point, if Cody looked at the top card or Ezekiel, like you said, this is what I have. Most players are eager to say, okay, to the next, especially knowing that Cody gets to be on the play, which Cody is probably very, very excited about. Oh, but we see a be prepared in there, which be prepared is so annoying to see in your opening hand because, you don't want it. But at the same time, you're like, please come back. Please come back to me. It's so scary to send away. But, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it was meant to be. But gosh, you really hope that Be Prepared comes back against an aggro deck that can go from 1 character to 5 characters in a second. And thank you, Lux. That I appreciate that someone appreciates my humor. I have the humor of a dad, 40-year-old dad with 3 children. And yet I am a not mother and I have no children. So where are the jokes coming from? I don't know, but I appreciate that someone appreciates them. But we're on to game 2 here. And like it says at the top of the screen, this is top 8. Unfortunately, that means one of these decks will be knocked out and will not be going to the top. So if you guys want to let us know what you think, like which one do you want? Do you have an emotional draw? Is it the rise of the Amethyst Steel? Are we so happy for the underdog of Amethyst, the surprising underdog of Amethyst Ruby? I don't know. I don't know what people want to win. Well, don't jinx it. Well, I mean, technically, someone unfortunately has to lose this match. I don't want to be the breaker of bad news.
Will happen, and we will cheer for both players.
Exactly.
Till the end.
I'm cheering for the Amethyst deck. We see another fairy ship, and this is a perfect example of why the fairy ship is good, because now the only thing we can do is rush in a fox. We can't rush in a fox because we need to locate or we need another character in. So this fairy ship is just sitting there, just floating around and making little toot toot sounds and just annoying Cody. We see Cody choose to discard to get 2 lore from the Cobra, which is kind of, well, if he has 2 docks, I guess it's not the craziest thing in the world. So yeah, we see him play the Cobra and discard on turn 3, which you don't always see. It's kind of an aggressive play. It can be scary to discard cards before you know you're going to get new ones. I do apologize about the choppiness I have. I'm trying so hard. But it is difficult because the people that can help are doing work and I can't get a hold of them. So that's the answer, and I'm really sorry, but we'll do our best. I find if you blink really fast, it looks normal. So just do that, and that's all I have. I'm really sorry it's poisonous. I am sorry. It's sincere. I can't. I don't want it to be that way, but it is. What stats do you want, Dan? What is this ink? So he's using tokens. So some players like to use tokens because I think it's cute, and it's fun to manage your resources. But I don't like it. But that's just a personal stat. I don't like it. It's too much. But it's cute. It is very cute. The problem is that with a stream like this where it's lagging, Ezekiel will show what he's about to ink, and he just shows it for a second, and then he just puts it in his ink pile, which is off to the side. So I 100% see why people are like, what's going on here? But it is just a strategy people use. It's cute. Cobra stats. Yeah, that's a good point. Cobra is a 4/4, but he is susceptible. He has Vanish. So all you have to do is say, I'm going to put a little ability, and any ability, a Teeth and Ambitions could take down a Cobra. A Healing could take down Cobra. I don't think Ezekiel has anything that could necessarily target it right now.
Okay, I'm wondering about something. The wording of a text.
You just have to choose it for an ability. So, for example, I had someone restore what has been hurt, and it banished my tiger.
We don't seem to see the. I wanted to check the brawl is.
Oh, let me pull that up.
Banish chosen character with 2 strength or less.
So yeah, you can't even target it. So I guess that's the problem. You can't. It has to be a legal target. So you can heal something with no damage. So you can target something like heal something with no damage, but you can't target something that's not eligibly targeted. So I think that's where it's kind of annoying. But that's why I think this Cobra is just being there going, I'm a snake, and being a problem. I don't think he's going, I'm a snake. I think he's being more menacing than that. Wonderland can do a much better Jafar. We'll see how snake-like I can be. And the snake took out a fairy ship, which was really mean. And the Diablo was challenged by the goat, which Ezekiel got to draw a card, which, as we know, gets him one more closer to the Be Prepared, which I'm sure he is desperate to use to get rid of some of these annoying little guys on the board. Okay.
Okay. So, unless I am mistaken, you can play Brawl without the target. However, you cannot play Brawl and choose an invalid target,
So it
such as
just
Giant Cobra.
so it just resolve onto nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. That's a terrible thing to find out.
So I'm saying this with a grain of salt, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Giant Cobra cannot be targeted by Brawl as it is without changing stats and things like that.
Oh, and yeah, someone said if he tried, you'd have to resolve it onto the genie. So that's a good point. So he's not. Ezekiel would not be. He wouldn't do such a thing. I bet he wishes he had a sapphire. Don't we all wish we had a sapphire coil at this point? I feel like that's the theme of this weekend is I wish I had a sapphire coil, but nobody has one here. But we do see strength being enough to take down Maui, and he is able to draw 2 cards off of dock. So Cody's done a pretty good job hanging in. He hasn't been as aggressive as somebody wants to be on the play, and he's getting to dangerous turn time where Ezekiel is about to go to 6 ink. So Cody has to do some work here, and he has only 2 cards in hand, which is a little stressful. And by a little stressful, I mean a lot of stressful.
So, yeah, this is something between the two Amethyst deck, Amethyst Steel versus Amethyst Ruby. Amethyst Ruby is ever so slightly advantaged against Amethyst Steel because as we see right now, Amethyst Steel wants to put pressure on board and gain the most lore possible, and Amethyst Ruby wants to put location or card draw and quest slightly slowly, slightly more, slightly slower than the Amethyst Steel, to then be prep and take control from there. So I'd say like it's 55-45 in terms of advantage.
And someone mentioned you do get style points for moving to the ferry ship. And
Yeah.
that style point was immediately countered. Cody is a hater of style. But I will say, yes, when we talk about that advantage, we're about to see something. I put it on the screen that I imagine Cody's thinking about, everyone thinks about. I'll sing it just like a well known British Illumineer if we get there. But it is a song that is very unique to Ruby. But I'm not going to do it. We have to wait. And it's that's why we see Ezekiel also running locations like Ferry Ship and Library, because Library can be a double dip where you don't lose it in a Be Prepared. And if you have things sitting in it, you get to draw some cards. So Ezekiel is, we saw him alter away a Be Prepared, but we'll see. Does he have, I do see something red over there. Nope. He's going to ink a crab, and what's he going to do? He's that's never a good sign for chat. Be prepared.
Wow,
Thank you.
that was really great.
Or terrible, but that was Lorcana Villain. That wasn't him. That was me inspired by him. We don't get to do that in this meta these days. This is a meta. This is a meta where we're not guaranteed to get to sing Be Prepared, So I'm really glad I got a chance to do it. I haven't all for 36 hours. I haven't. So thank you, everyone. But he was able to get 3 lore and draw a card before he did that. And Cody just had to sit there and go, I was prepared, but not emotionally. But he has 4 cards in hand, so it's not the worst thing that's ever happened.
The big thing Amethyst Steel can run can have as a problem is after Be Prepared having like 1 or 2 cards and not be able to sustain much advantage afterwards. So 4 cards in hand is kind of good. 6 ink. So you can respond back and have the first turns in terms of lore. Ezekiel is doing the best he can to get more card advantage with the library, with the genie.
Yeah, and it makes it the locations are a really cool little speed bump because I mean, anytime you are taking on, Smee and Cobra can work together to take out that library, but that's 3 lore they are not gaining. But as somebody mentioned, we also have the bounce, so he can do the damage to the library. In this case, library I believe is a 7 or an 8 or 6. So is 8?
Yeah.
I just kept gonna say numbers, so not enough for them to do it together, but the fox comes in and says, oh, I can do it. And now we're seeing the power of the bounce package, which is why I'm so sad we haven't seen more Amethyst today, because a bounce package is so fun. You get to do so many nefarious little things. It's most fun with Emerald, I will say, but it is also fun with Steel and Ruby.
I think it's really fun with Sapphire too.
Yeah, Blurple. You can't. They're all fun. And we're seeing Cody use it to his advantage to really build up his board again. Now he does have, is that one? Okay, 1 card in hand. Not great there, but he's still holding his own. And we could see Ezekiel quest and play Be Prepared, but I can't sing it twice. That'd be too much pressure. But he wants to be careful with those because you can only deploy those so many times, and he does not have a shark to get those actions back. But he has a crab, and the crab can come in and give 3 to the genie. And the only problem is if the genie challenges into any of those characters, they're gone. So we do see him trade with Genie and Cobra, which helps remove the ability of them bouncing the Cobra, getting 2 lore again. So it's a painful move, but ultimately can help prolong his Cody's, or prevent Cody's outs here.
Right now we have a Smee and a fox on Cody's side, so genie is tough.
Yeah, we don't know what Ezekiel has in hand. He has 2 right now. He's looking, he's like, oh, what have I played already? He's like, hopefully he didn't forget how many Be Prepared. But maybe, I mean, he's been playing this all day too, so he's probably like, I don't know. What day is it? What year is it? What deck am I playing? And that Chernabog can easily be a card draw in a moment. And the Chernabog is one where you can quest and then banish it, which means if he moves it to the library, he gets to draw 2 cards, correct? If the library survives. I'm talking like the library's going to survive. But if he moves the Chernabog's quest and then banishes the Chernabog's, and the library's still there. That's a 2-card draw, I believe, correct?
Yeah, so Chernabog's going into library, questing, and banishing itself. Drawing a card with Chernabog's follower, that effect triggers. And then the library triggers.
But it looks like he's going a little bit more aggressive route here. So he did go ahead and use that crab to take out the fox, get a card. Oh man. Be prepared. Okay, this is 2 more, guys. I can't. I'm just kidding. Like, people are wanting this. Nobody wants this. But the library stays, which we see, like, that's the power of the library. And another library is because Calhoun is magic, but she can't take down 2 libraries. And we're at the point where the library is going to be sitting there and gaining that lore per turn. In this case, 2 lore. And Cody just has to try to outpace him. We don't know what he has in hand. He could have some things, some goats and some bouncing. But it is a little bit stressful to be Cody right now, looking at the math across the board. Let's see, how many cards does Cody have? We know Ezekiel has 1. Oh, wow. So he did the math and said, I don't have it. So library, someone said, I heard library is a good card. Yeah, isn't it crazy that these tournaments come down to so often a manor or a library just sitting there. And you're like, okay, well, I guess that means you win. But we do see Ezekiel say red. Or sorry, he doesn't say anything about red. He has Cody C in red because Amethyst Ruby is back on the menu. Or did it ever leave? But it's in the top 4.
So I heard a rumor library is good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good rumor, right? Because I mean, gosh, with all these cards that self-banish and knowing that you're going to be banishing things, that's the whole point of Ruby, is to just be like controlling, usually, Ruby Amethyst. So yeah, the library is usually a great card. It made the Queen's Castle be obsolete. Not really. I'm sure some people still run it. But yeah, Jerry Damage. Is this like that time that Ed was the only red purple and took it all? We don't know. Is Ezekiel Ed? They both start with an E. Could Ezekiel be Ed in a disguise? No, because Ed said he's not coming. But that sounds like somebody who's in a disguise would say. So, yay, Zeke. So Zeke was on the bubble. So to give you guys a little bit of background, so we're going to switch to our beautiful shining faces here. To give you guys a little recap, the bubble today had a total of 6 people on it. The bubble was at 22 points. So the people who bubbled in, which is such a funny term, were obviously Zeke was one of them. And I'm pulling up things. So if it sounds like I'm multitasking, because I am. But ultimately, of the bubble, only 4 people could bubble in, and then 2 people bubbled out. One of them was Logan, unfortunately, and I believe Nadas was the other one. So it was kind of heartbreaking in that respect. So it is exciting that Zeke bubbled in, fell into the pit of top 8, which is a good place to be.